My name is Monica. I'm sitting in the chair my dad built, the one with the creaky armrest. The early morning light filters through the trees, and the lake in the distance sparkles like it holds a secret. I'm sipping coffee from the mug with the chipped handle, the one Dad used to call lucky. It's peaceful here, and for the first time in a long while, I can breathe without bracing myself. But it wasn't always like this. A few weeks ago, I was on my way to my villa by Lake Placid, looking forward to a quiet weekend away from the chaos of the city. The drive there had always been like a balm for my soul, with the quiet roads, tall trees, and my favorite playlist playing softly through the speakers. I could almost smell the pine as I imagined opening the car door and stepping into my own little slice of heaven. However, when I turned into the gravel driveway, I knew something was off. There was a red SUV I didn't recognize parked beside the porch, and a scooter leaned against the steps. The front door was wide open, and I could hear laughter coming from inside. My heart sank as I killed the engine and sat there for a moment, trying to come up with an explanation. Maybe my friend Lily had dropped something off early, or perhaps a neighbor was visiting. I stepped out of the car, keys still in hand, and climbed the steps. As I entered the living room, I saw my mother, Carol, arranging throw pillows as if she were staging a real estate listing. My sister, Emily, walked in from the hallway with a bag of groceries, and her youngest, Tommy, was dragging a stuffed bear behind him. Carol looked up at me as if I was the intruder. "You didn't say you were coming," she said flatly. "I wasn't planning to announce it." "It's my house," I replied, my voice steady, though my heart was pounding. Emily didn't even seem surprised. She pulled a juice box from the grocery bag and gave it to Tommy. I looked around the room and noticed suitcases in the hallway, a playpen in the sunroom, and my books had been rearranged. My kitchen towels were replaced. "I just need the weekend," I said. Carol crossed her arms. "They need more than a weekend. Emily and the kids are moving in. You've got your life in the city. This place makes more sense for them." I was stunned. "You're moving them in? Without asking?" Carol shrugged. "It's theirs now. You're not allowed here anymore." Those words hit me like a silent blow. I nodded, not because I agreed, but because I understood. I backed down the steps, the key in my hand now just a useless piece of metal. Back in the city, I sat on the edge of my bed in the dark, the hum of traffic outside a harsh contrast to the quiet of Lake Placid. I held the key, still warm from my palm, and dropped it into the drawer beside my bed, where it landed against old receipts. I reached for my phone, not to call anyone, but just to distract myself. My photo gallery only made me feel worse, with pictures of the villa's porch at golden hour, the kitchen I designed tile by tile, and the morning fog rolling off the lake. So, I opened my notes app instead. I'd started keeping a list a few months ago, not of expenses, but of all the things that seemed to go unnoticed. I'd paid off Carol's dental debt of $6,300, covered Emily's divorce lawyer fees of $3,000, and used every bonus check for 4 years for the down payment and renovation of the villa. I'd bought groceries when Carol forgot her wallet and babysat Emily's kids while she got back on her feet. There was never a thank you or an I see you. I then played my dad's old voice message. His voice was tired but clear. "You've always had a strong heart, kid. Don't let them confuse it for a bottomless wallet. And don't teach them that kindness means silence." If Dad were here, he'd have stopped them. But he wasn't, and I hadn't. Maybe I'd taught them too well that I'd always be there, always pay up, and always give in without a fight. But this time, the silence wasn't surrender. It was the start of a plan. I opened my laptop and typed in the name of the attorney, Mr. Harris, who'd helped me buy the villa. I'd been the responsible one since I was a child. When the electric bill was overdue, I'd figured out how to call the company and ask for a payment plan. When Emily lost her backpack, I'd given her mine. When Carol forgot field trip forms, I'd forged her signature so I wouldn't miss the bus. By the time I turned 30, being the reliable one wasn't a compliment, it was a burden. The last time I said no, when Emily asked for help refinancing her car, Carol told me I was selfish, and Emily texted, "You don't even have a family. What's it for?" I opened our message thread, knowing it would hurt. Carol's last text read, "They need it more. You're barely even there." They saw my need for space as distance, but I called it breathing room. I'd built the villa because I needed a place where I wasn't constantly asked for something. I contacted Mr. Harris, and when we met, I slid a folder across the table, filled with deed copies, tax records, and every invoice from the renovation. I want it secured, irrevocably. I want no one else to have access, claim, or leverage, I said. Mr. Harris thumbed through the papers and then looked up. Family matter? I gave him a half smile. Something like that. He leaned back. We can transfer ownership to a non-profit trust. I have clients who've done similar things. Charitable housing orgs, ecological foundations. You retain lifetime use. They can't touch it without full legal pursuit, and they won't win. I exhaled slowly. We'll handle it cleanly, but document everything. Messages, voicemails, access attempts, he continued. I've got screenshots and a list, I said. He gave a small, satisfied nod. Good, because if this turns into a fight, we'll win it with facts, not feelings. I knew I didn't want a fight, I just wanted distance. I then contacted my friend Max. He's the kind of guy who, if you tell him a job requires creative deterrence, he starts loading his car with sensors and wires without asking too many questions. We arrived at the villa on a Saturday afternoon. The air was still damp from the night before, and the place looked serene and untouched. Max started installing motion detectors in every hallway, programmable LED lights that strobed in randomized pulses, and speakers hidden behind vents and inside wall panels. The voice assistant was custom scripted to issue warnings. He also installed pressure-sensitive mats beneath the rugs. We tested the system, and it was amazing. It was like the house had come alive. I hung a sign beside the door that read, "Demo House Voice AI Activated. Enter at own risk." Max packed up and gave me a thumbs up. If they stay more than 3 minutes, I'll be disappointed. I watched his car disappear down the road and then opened the app on my phone. All systems were green, cameras were live, and the triggers were armed. They arrived right on schedule at noon. The live feed showed Emily stepping out first, holding a casserole dish like it was a housewarming gift for herself. Her husband, David, followed with a cooler and the kids, all dragging overnight bags. Carol climbed out last, adjusting her purse and eyeing the sign suspiciously. She walked over, read the sign, and scoffed. Then she yanked it off the post and tossed it aside. "This is our house now," she said loudly. They walked right in without knocking. David used the spare key I didn't know Emily still had. I sat in my apartment, waiting. At 1:55 a.m. I watched Carol turn out the last light and head towards the guest bathroom. I opened the app and tapped activate. The lights in the hallway flared to life, pulsing red and white. The living room speakers blared, unauthorized access detected. Bathroom faucets turned on, and kitchen lights flashed like sirens. Footsteps echoed through the speakers. Upstairs, Emily bolted upright, already screaming. The villa responded exactly as we'd designed it. Lights in every room strobed, and the hallway speakers looped my voice, "You are not welcome here. Exit immediately." By 2:01 a.m. The kids were crying, and panic set in. David tried the front door, but the smart lock's delay kept it sealed. Emily tripped on a motion trigger, and the security protocol escalated. They finally managed to get out of the house, all shaking and without shoes. The kids were still crying as they piled into the car and drove away. At 6:12 a.m. 2 officers came to check the house. They left half an hour later, saying the smart system might be malfunctioning. At 7:03 a.m. My phone buzzed. It was a blocked number. I answered, and Carol's voice cracked. "What did you do?" I sipped my coffee and said, "Nothing. I wasn't even there." I ended the call and tapped the reset sequence on the app, just in case. A few days later, they came to the notary office. Carol's lips were pressed tight, and Emily stood behind her, arms crossed. They thought they could still win some kind of compromise. I slid the top document towards them. "The villa is no longer mine. Ownership was transferred 2 weeks ago to Green Valley Housing Collective, a non-profit that supports transitional housing for women. I retain lifetime access, and no other party has any legal claim." Emily's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Carol's face turned sharp. "You transferred it." "I did." "You gave it away without asking." "I just made it official," I said. Carol stood up too quickly, knocking her chair back. "That place was supposed to be for family." I said quietly, "It was, but family doesn't take without asking." They left without another word. Now, here I am, in the villa, surrounded by peace. I spent the morning taking down all the sensors and equipment Max and I installed. The house doesn't need to speak anymore, it's already said what I couldn't. I'm not proud of what I did, but I'm not sorry either. They came to take what I'd built, and I gave the house a voice to protect what was mine. I whisper into the morning, not revenge. Just return.